Hi everybody, in this video we will be talking about the particle system and also the particle system external force. When you click on the right mouse button in the hierarchy, you'll see effects. Effects are, there'll be the particle system and the particle system force field. So we'll click on the particle system force field at first, and the hierarchy is up here. Some people might have it different, but the default one should usually be up here. And now if we click on it, we have to zero it out on the position, on the X, the Y, and the Z. That way it could be directly in the middle of the screen. And then we'll do the same for the particle system. Zero it out. Now when it's all zeroed out, the way we use the particle system force field, which the force field is uh, pretty much just something that manipulates the particle system. It can make it move a certain way. It can control it to do certain things. Here, I'll show you right now. So if you go to where's external forces, and you can see it's already working. If I check it, if I uncheck it, it just does its own thing. If I check it, it starts working with the external force. Now, another way you could do this, if you have multiple particle systems and multiple force fields, and you don't want them to both or to all be working with one force field, what you can do is right here, you can see the multiplier. This multiplies whatever the force field is currently set to. There's the influence filter, which is either a layer mask, a list, or a layer mask and list. And this would be the layer mask, an influence mask, which is just a bunch of layers. And for people that don't know what layers are, each game object has a layer um, drop down menu, and you could also add layers. And a layer just pretty much is something you could layer each individual game object to. So let's say you have an environment layer. You could put all your trees, rocks, grass, all that into the environment layer. And then when you're coding, you could make, let's say, a character do certain things on that layer. So for the grass layer, you can make it do, let's say, you could walk on grass layers, but only on grass layers. Or for a grass layer, make it play this sound and only this sound. Um, and sorry about that, my phone went off. Um, but yeah, that's the layer part of it. And for us, what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this to a list instead of a layer. So, like I said, if you want to have multiple multiple particle systems, then you can, and that will help you separate each particle system to their force field. So now we have a force field. What we could do is grab the particle system force field and connect it into the empty box, and there you go, it works again. So now what we could do to kind of play around with this force field is, since we can't see the particle system plane unless we have actually clicked it. So if I go right here, I don't see a plane. So what we can do is we could lock this particle system force field in the inspector with this little lock bar or lock icon, and that will lock it. So if I go to anything, these components of the particle system force field will always show. So I could go to anyone and it'll always show. So now we'll go to the particle system and we can mess around with this. So for the particle system, we have a couple options. We got the shape. So like it implies, we could change the different shapes. You can see it right here. The little blue outline is the shape. So a sphere, a cylinder, a box, anything you want. We'll leave the sphere for now. And then there's a starting range and an end range. The end range will be this big circle, and then the start range will be a circle inside of the big circle, which will be the starting range for the particles. So if I have, let's say, a huge end range, as you can see, the particle system stays in that start range. At least it stays there for now because we don't have no direction, no gravity, or no strength, no nothing. So let's say we change the direction on the X, which, if you guys remember, is the red one, the horizontal. And if you change it, let's say going left or going right, everything will start moving right. And you could slow it down, and you could also move it right and also, let's say, upwards. So you could do that. And since this is right now a 2D project, you really don't need to move with the Z. But if you take it out of 2D and you mess with the Z, you can actually see that it's also moving either backwards or frontwards, depending on what axis or which way you're going, either the negative way or the positive way. So, and again, sorry for that phone. I have muted it so we don't hear the phone again. And so for the strength, as it implies, it just adds strength to each particle, making it faster, speedier. If you go negative strength, it just starts shooting everything towards the opposite way instead of towards the inside. And that's that for the strength. Now for focus, just it shows another bar, and it, how can I say, it shoots the particles from the start to this focus line. It'll just shoot it out. And like I said, depending on the strength, it could shoot it out calmly, it'll do it quicker. And then also there's rotation. So for this one, we might not see it too much because, oh, there you go. We actually do see it. We could see it rotating. The whole thing rotates all the particle systems. And we could also add randomness on the X. So you, as you can see up here, you could see it kind of on the X rotating, or we could add randomness on the Y. As you can see, it's going up and down. And then for drag is pretty much, as it implies, it drags it. Here, let me show you so you could kind of get an idea. It drags the particle, so it makes it like slower, like if it's kind of heavy. As you can see, some of these particles are dragging. Some of them are still moving quickly, mostly because of the speed, but you could see them kind of like if they have weight on them. So that's that for drag. And then you could either multiply it by the size, the drag, you can multiply it by the size or by the velocity. So you don't have to, you could just put the strength. If you don't want to multiply it by anything, you just uncheck it. If you do, you check it. And all of these with the little arrows, we could change it to be random between either, we could do a curve, which just shows this curve bar, and we could edit it with this curve bar any way we want. We also have predefined curves, so we could edit it however we want. And then we also have random between two curves. It's pretty much the same thing, but now you have two curves to edit with. And then there's also the random between two consonants, which is just two numbers, which you could put like 10 and let's say 10 and 20, and then it'll just rotate between those two numbers, or generate between those two numbers. Each particle will be between, let's say, 37.9 and 47.8. And that's useful for some cases, but for direction, not so much. Let's say for strength, we put random between two consonants. then we put, let's say, 0.2, and then we put 5, and then we should be able to see them all behaving kind of differently. And after that, we could go on to the vector field. Now, vector field, I was having trouble on I was having trouble on figuring this out because I could not figure out how to make a texture 3D on a 2D scene. Now, later on, I'll probably make a 3D video, and when I do make that 3D video, I'll make sure to come back to this section, because like I said, I was not able to make one. I get errors when I try to make one. For example, to make a texture, you would right click, go to create, and then they have all these textures. There's a render texture, custom render texture. So if I go to render texture and I just keep it, unlock this so I could go to it, and I go to 3D, I end up getting an error down here that they're not supported. What is it? The textures with depth are not supported. And when I do put no depth buffer, I still get that error. So I'm not sure what's going on. I'll look into it and make a video. Maybe you just have to be in a 3D project. And if that's the case, when I do a 3D project, most likely a game, I'll show you guys how to mess with that. And now that we have gone through the whole particle system force field, and we have adjusted anything we wanted, let's go back. We could go to the particle system, and from there we could keep on going. And this will have to wait for another video. I'll show you how to actually use the particle system, what each one of these does, the mission, the shape, each little subcategory of these categories, and I'll show you how to make I don't know, something. If you want to see something made with the particle system, like rain, snow, I don't know, fire, water, please let me know in the comments below. I'll make whatever you guys want to know. And thank you for watching this video.